Hi, I'm Tim Matesky with Atlanta Communities. Today is Monday, November 12th, 2012, and today I have with me Paul Cook of Post Creek Mortgage. Thanks for taking time here to talk with us today.
Yeah, no problem.
Now, one thing, I'm sure I get bombarded with a lot of lenders sending me emails, calling me and say, hey, Tim, I want to be your go-to lender. I have the best service and the best rates and everything. Well, Paul sent me an email that really caught my attention. And one of the things this is the reason I called with Paul and I'm making this video here. He says, Tim, I am the owner and I handle all the loans from beginning to end, so the rates and costs are very low due to the lower overhead and fewer employees. 95 to 99% of the time I send out an estimate, I get the business. And I began thinking about it. It's like finally someone, that's a big reason. I'm thinking that's kind of like Costco or Walmart or whatever. If someone cut out all the costs involved, it's going to allow them to possibly lower their prices. So, Paul, that's very unusual.
Right.
How have you set up your business, and how does that translate to a buyer shopping for a mortgage?
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. It's very unique. Most companies, if you go to another mortgage company, you've got an owner, you've got a loan officer, you've got a processor, you've got internal staff. And so for me, I just really wanted to focus on, providing what everyone, like you said, claims to offer, provide the best rates, provide the lowest costs. And so, I wear all those different hats. I am the owner, I am the loan officer, I am the processor.
So it's just you.
It is. It's just me.
Someone calls your number, you answer.
Absolutely. I handle it from beginning to end. So it's always sort of funny to me when, I know clients who, people that use other companies and they're immediately handed off to the processor. The loan officer actually does very little work. So I just wanted to take, so I just wanted to take responsibility for everything, good or bad, and I'm there at closing to, make sure that everything goes the way I told them it would go.
Okay, now you're a mortgage broker.
Right.
Okay, now I've heard, a lot of agents say, oh, mortgage broker, there's just too much, I guess the underwriters, outsourcing,
right.
The underwriters aren't right there, and, last minute things, it's tough to get it all done. How do you handle that?
That's a great question. For me, everything is done up front. I've been doing this 7 years, so... I can't walk down the hall to talk to an underwriter, but if it's a file that I feel like has any issues, any potential issues whatsoever down the road, then I'll get on the phone with the underwriter. Through the magic of technology, I can actually call them on the phone and talk to them, and so I can get any kind of issues cleared up immediately. I don't wait for anything to happen, 2 or 3 weeks down the road.
Now, you were telling me you work with, you basically shop for the best rates out there. So you work with several different lenders.
Right.
Okay, now are they local or national or?
Yeah, another good question. Really, for me, in my opinion, the best lenders are really regional lenders. They selected a certain group of states or a certain region of the country where they're really comfortable working. And most of that's just due to risk. If a lender is working over in all states, they just have to protect themselves more against, foreclosure risk, prepayment risk. So the lenders I like have selected, just a few states that they work, like Georgia, South Carolina, Florida, and typically they're the most aggressive rate-wise. They're the most competitive.
Okay, so you're not locked into just one lender, and if their rates go up, well, your rates go up. You can go and switch to another lender.
Right, exactly. And that's something that changes, every few months. Once a lender, starts to get a lot of business, their volume goes up. Typically, their rates will go up. So you have to constantly be assessing who's doing what, and you just can't get comfortable with any particular lender. You've got to monitor it.
Now, do you personally know, like, the underwriters at these lenders? Do you know Do you meet with them
Yeah.
ever, or do you interact with them a lot?
I don't meet with them mostly, but I know most of the lenders I work with. I know most of the underwriters, and not only that, the support staff.
So you know
underwriting
who
managers.
to call if you have a
Oh, yeah.
specific problem or whatever. You know how to go up the chain of command.
Yeah, and again, for me, it's really getting a very deep. If you get a client, get a very detailed file put together. Go through any issues and just make sure that those items are addressed up front. And if you've got to talk to an underwriter manager, do it up front. Within the first few days of getting the loan application.
Okay.
So.
Now Paul made, when I saw he beats 95 to 99% of the people who are shopping around. I thought, okay. Now I don't. Usually I try to begin referring some of my clients to test a new lender out, but. Just what you said, it's like, wow, this really sounds like someone who can really save my buyers money here. So what I want you to do, if you're watching this, if you're shopping for a mortgage, go ahead and shop whoever you think is the best, and then call Paul to have him give you a quote there. Now, one of the things I'm going to put a link in this video here. The other thing that caught my eye was he has reviews at kudzu.com and zillow.com, about 30 reviews at each place, and I went through them, and each one of them is a very positive, 5 stars out of 5 stars, and they all pretty much say the same thing. A lot of people had shopped around, they thought they were getting a good deal, they called Paul, and Paul was able to beat them. The service is excellent. He attends the closings, and I guess that's the main thing. It's not just the price; it's the service that is the main thing.
Right.
And tell me now, if someone were shopping around, what's the best? What are the must-dos when you're shopping for a mortgage? Because you go on the websites where they have these comparison mortgage shopping things, and all of them seem like some of them really low rates. And I've already tried doing that myself. And first of all, you begin clicking through to that specific lender, and all of a sudden, that really low rate, once you actually get to their website, it's not there anymore. Then if it is there, then you call them up, and somehow it's not there when you call them up. Then the worst thing is you call them up, they maybe make the claim that they offer that rate, and then sometimes when you're ready to lock, or maybe when you're ready to get closer to closing, all of a sudden something happens and the rate isn't there anymore, and then you're stuck. So tell me what to beware of.
Yeah, you nailed it. I think the key is, it used to be bait and switch was you would lock a rate with a lender, and then a couple weeks down the road, something would happen. They'd make some sort of claim, and your rate would all of a sudden be, an eighth of a point or a quarter of a point higher. That's called bait and switch. Bait and switch is a little bit different nowadays. It's where, someone will call a lender before they're ready to lock and get an estimate, and the estimate looks really good. And then, like you said, when they go to lock, it's a little higher. So the key is, for me, and this would be the most important thing we talk about, for someone to try and find out how to shop around. The key is to find 2 or 3 lenders that you're comfortable with. Establish a relationship, talk to them, get comfortable with them, and then once you're ready to lock, ask each lender for their best estimate. The key point is you've got to be ready to lock in. You've got to be under contract.
So someone should say, "Hey, I have a contract. I'm ready to lock." Today, right now. Don't tell them that I'm still shopping around.
Right, because once they know you're ready to lock, they've got to give you their best. They've got to give you the real deal. So if the rate's 3.25, and they know you're ready to lock, well, they've got to show you 3.25 because they know they can't lock in the 3% rate that they've showed you 2 weeks ago.
Now, how do I know that they actually locked in my rates?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, really, nowadays the key is the good faith estimate, because that's the new federal form that will actually show you if your loan's locked. So if they sent you a good faith estimate, that shows you a locked rate, it shows you how long it's locked for, they've got to stick to that. You need to hold on to that. Otherwise, they could get in trouble, for not honoring that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, is it best to shop for, say, I call you up and you say, give me a quote for a 3% mortgage, and then your costs that go along with that. Should I go to another lender? And what if he says, well, I can give you 3.125 and X amount of costs?
Right.
How
So you're
do
talking
you
about
do that?
different rates.
Yeah,
and
should
costs.
I compare one specific rate and then find out what the costs are associated with that rate? Is that how?
Yeah,
you
typically. I
compare
mean,
it?
you can get estimates, before you're ready to lock in. You can ask for estimates. Just understand that, sometimes it might be too good to be true, but you can at least get a comfort level for, what kind of rate and cost sort of combination that you want. Maybe it's just no cost, or
Okay.
no points, no origination fees, which is, 90% of the loans I do now, where they're closing costs, but there's no origination or no discount points associated with the loan.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And now, I know there's a lot of times people get that estimate, and it's the amount of money they have to bring to the closing table. But the thing that I see is a lot of those costs that are estimates that you have no control over, like the closing attorney, the title insurance, and things like that.
Right.
The survey costs. So what are if I'm comparing, I just want to know what the best lender deal is.
Right.
On the good faith estimate, is it broken down to lender fees that I add up and compare?
Yeah, both. Well, there are two forms that we use. The good faith is one, and then, we still use the fee worksheet, which gives the good faith estimate sums every category up. The fee worksheet has each cost individually listed.
Okay.
So it just depends on which form you're using. But yeah, you want to focus on the lender related costs, and typically those are the first block or the first list of items, like the origination, the underwriting, the appraisal.
Okay.
But that's a perfect question, because you really do need to focus on those, because you could have a lender who underestimates attorney's fees on purpose.
Or even they maybe the closing date is assumed to be different. So if you're closing on November 5th, that's the prepaids and everything is going to be different from the
Right.
closing on November 25th.
Exactly.
So-
That's right. Because those other closing costs can be, tweaked to make the estimate look maybe better than it's actually going to be.
Right.
So yeah, absolutely. You got to focus on the rate and the lender costs. Those are the two big items on
Okay.
the estimates. Yeah.
All right. Well, we can keep talking here
Yeah,
before long. There's so much to talk about here. But the main thing is, I want to see if Paul can really do what he told me he could in his email and beat the rates of any other lenders out there. So please, if you're shopping for a mortgage, call Paul up to get his quotes, and then email me the results. I want to know from you out there whether this guy's as good as he claims to be. All right, from everything I've seen here, talking with Paul, usually I have a pretty good sense about people, whether they're just blowing smoke or whether they're doing the real deal. But Paul comes across. I met with him for a couple hours here. I've seen all his reviews, so I'm pretty excited. So I want to start. If he can match the rates, I want to start making him my go-to lender for all my buyers. So anyway, anything else, Paul?
I think that's it. Yeah. I
Okay.
mean, if anyone has questions, happy to walk through them, even if they're not, ready to get estimates or anything else, because, there's a lot to it. So happy to help in any way I can.
What's the best way to contact you?
Email is pcook@postcreekmtg.com. My number is 678-631-3217.
Okay.
So,
Very
yeah,
good.
Thanks a lot.
All right. Take care.